provisional local government. From there, Mike Donkin reports.
Even before tonight's announcement, the resistance of pro-Ceausescu forces was petering out in Timișoara. In the main square, townspeople cleared the debris of a week of shootings and killings. Soldiers drank and smoked and sat exhausted, but confident that the Securitate gunmen were on the run, and few now in number.
Exists just a little group, and it's not together. It's only one or two person in a place.
Volleys of shots still sometimes forced those braving a Christmas stroll to run for cover. And the People's Militia were taking no chances. No one was spared a thorough search. In the churches of Timișoara, their Christmas thoughts were for those who died so violently in these past days. The total casualties here are still the stuff of rumour. People simply say, too many. So, in the town where Romania's bloody revolution started, the victory has been won at a terrible cost, and it's still not yet complete. But the people here believe that there's now no going back. And tonight, in our hotel and throughout the country, people are transfixed by free Romanian television to see if the fate of the president and his wife will write a final chapter to the revolution. Mike Donkin, BBC News, Timișoara.
Foreign aid is now beginning to arrive in Romania. Much-needed medical supplies are reaching hospitals where staff are working night and day to treat the wounded. It's still not clear how many casualties there are, but the Health Minister, Victor Ciobanu, says reports that 70,000 people died in the uprising are exaggerated. In Bucharest, he said 500 had died. From there, Kate Adey reports.
In Bucharest hospitals patrolled by twitchy guards, there are all kinds of victims. Soldiers, passers-by, security police, children. There's an air of fear, with everyone searched in the corridors, guns at ward doors. A fear still that the Securitate might sneak in and wreak havoc. At the children's hospital, there's a 12-year-old hit by dum-dum-like bullets.
In the lungs.
These bullets were also used by a secret policeman in Ceausescu's palace when this 14-year-old girl tried to stop him destroying documents. The boy with her was killed. Those who survived and those who did not are crammed into every room. Builders' trucks are lined up to collect the coffins. No one knows how many people have been injured or how many people have been killed. No one can yet estimate how much help is needed. Only that need is very great indeed. Aid is arriving, and the first medical supplies coming in from Bulgaria and Switzerland and many other European countries, reaching Bucharest today, with worn-out volunteers keen to keep going as they hear other convoys are on their way to help them and to help this hospital, which is celebrating its first Christmas with a tree for 40 years. Kate Adey, BBC News, Bucharest.
World leaders have used their Christmas messages to welcome the momentous events in Eastern Europe. The Queen, in a speech recorded before the recent killings in Romania, said it would be splendid to think that Christ's message about loving our neighbours as ourselves might at last be heeded. And the Pope, addressing crowds in St. Peter's Square, called for a blessing on Romania, which is celebrating this Christmas in fear and trembling, with sorrow for the many human lives tragically lost. American troops and armoured vehicles are still outside the Vatican embassy in Panama City. Inside is the former military strongman General Noriega. He took refuge there last night, asking for political asylum. Washington still wants to extradite him on drugs charges. Vatican officials think that would be illegal.
For Panama's street crowds, Noriega's surrender is the country's longed-for Christmas present, the end of 2 years of tyranny. Chanting justice at last and Noriega assassin, they danced and celebrated, and so in their way did the soldiers who pursued him.
A few minutes ago, we received a report that Mr. Noriega had presented himself at the papal nunciariate and turned himself in for political asylum.
24,000 US troops have searched for Noriega since Tuesday, yet to the end his cunning has been extraordinary, choosing for refuge not the Nicaraguan or Cuban embassies as expected, but that of the Vatican, and flying in by civilian helicopter. As the military problem subsides, the diplomatic tangle thickens. The US Defense Secretary spending Christmas with his troops was delighted by the news, perplexed by what it means.
The United States military has done a tremendous job in running him to ground. Now it's up to the lawyers and diplomats to figure out what happens next.
And as Panama celebrated Christmas as best it could, the former dictator, murderer, drug trafficker, womanizer and pornographer lies at the mercy of Vatican diplomacy.
Whatever the celebrations, Noriega has chosen a wise sanctuary in the Vatican embassy on the day the world celebrates the birth of Christ. But for the Americans, this is one sinner whose mere repentance without severe punishment will not be enough. Gavin Esler, BBC News, Panama City.
And that's all from the newsroom tonight. Good night.